Interest rates have been fluctuating since the beginning of the year. And as we know, when the rates fluctuate, it affects buyers' purchasing power. But the purchase price of homes has not been adjusting with the rates. What does this mean if you're a buyer? I'm Kelley, lead agent and director of agent growth with the Felicia Lewis Group. We are a top team here in San Diego specializing in Carmel Valley and surrounding areas. If you're interested in learning more about the home buying process, we made a great video about that, and there'll be a link on the screen. If you'd like to learn more about real estate in Carmel Valley, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe so you'll be notified when we release a new video. Today, I'm joined by Marika, Iler, mortgage advisor with Intercap Lending and one of our preferred lenders here at the Felicia Lewis Group. We've invited her over to clear up some common misconceptions that our clients have in this market. Hi, thank you for coming.
Thank you for having me.
Of course. With interest rates rising and the stock market seeing some challenges, I know that it affects what buyers can afford. Personally, I know my buyers have been feeling it and wondering, is this still something I should try to pursue? Should I wait? From a lending perspective, what are you thinking are the best ways to guide these clients?
You know, first off, the buyers really need to get their financial house in order. So before it was get a pre-approval, now we got to take that one step further and do what's known as the TBD underwriting approval. So your offer's not accepted yet, so we're not in escrow, meaning we don't have a property to associate it with. However, we'll put the property address as a TBD and we'll fully go through underwriting with income, assets, credit in front of an underwriter who will go through, check all the boxes, hopefully approve that loan, and then enable us to not only go to a seller and say, hey, we have full loan approval, but we can also close really quickly because we have this loan approval.
Yeah, it's been incredibly helpful for a lot of our clients to be able to be that competitive in the offer.
Right.
Because so many offers come in with an outdated approval or a pre-approval that hasn't even had documents received.
Right.
And I know there's a lot of situations where clients have to get creative these days.
Yep, you really have to differentiate. And let's say, because like you mentioned, stock market, maybe people lost some of their reserves that they were counting on for a down payment. There's other alternatives. Maybe we need a co-signer. Maybe they could do a loan from 401k if they have a 401k. Maybe they get a gift from a family member. So there's all different types of things that we can do to still make a deal work. But that's why I said back to the beginning, get the financial house in order.
Yeah, and oftentimes it makes your offer stand out. You might not have to be the highest offer
right.
if you have all your finances in order.
It's all about differentiate that offer.
Yeah, absolutely. So as we both know, the home prices in San Diego are still incredibly high. And we're breaking records again today. So how do you recommend a buyer navigate this from a lending perspective?
Well, I think a big thing that we have to keep educating our clients is that, there's so much negativity in the media and they're really telling them that affordability is at a 40-year low and, nobody can afford to buy a house, and that, maybe even buyers are thinking, well, at some point a bubble's got to burst. I mean, that neither of those things are true. In San Diego, there's such high demand to live here that the bubble's not going to burst. In addition, when rates drop even a tad and as incomes continue to grow, it's going to bridge that affordability gap. So I would say just get your financials in order, try to differentiate that offer, right? Get the full underwriting approval, do a quick escrow, and be ready to go. Be ready to run with your Nikes on.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think a lot of our buyers are thinking that something has to change, something has to bring the prices back down. But San Diego's bordered on four sides. I mean, we have Mexico, the ocean, Camp Pendleton, and the desert. You can't expand much further. And on top of that, we've brought in so much industry that never existed here. We were historically a military town, and now we have tech and AI and all the biosciences, all of that here. So the idea that something is going to change is highly unlikely. And the truth of the matter is incomes are likely going to go up because of the industry.
Absolutely, and then those things coupled with the fact that, we have the beautiful sunshine and the beaches, right? So we've got tourism, and a lot of tourists come here and go, oh my gosh, I love this mild climate, now I want to stay, right? Yeah. So the demand is so high that prices will continue to rise. So we just, again, need to learn how to navigate.
Yeah. So the question that I get a lot is, do buyers just stretch their budget as far as they possibly can just to get in, just to get something that they want and refinance later? And if they do that, what does refinance going to cost?
Oh, great questions. It really depends on the buyer. a lot of my buyers will stretch almost to their limit, knowing full well that incomes are going to increase, that maybe they're getting married, so now they have a dual income. I mean, whatever it may be. But people are realistic. There's also the people that don't want to be married to their mortgage. So it really kind of depends on where they are in their stage of life. If they're a savvy investor, then they know that they can, max out because they're going to get a return on something once they sell it. If they're a first-time home buyer, they tend to be maybe a little bit more nervous, and rightfully so, because purchasing a home is a big investment. So the thing is, you can refinance once you've made 6 payments. And so I want to remind people that, especially when we're coming off a time of really high interest rates, historically speaking, right? That because interest rates are going to go down, that affordability is going to go up, and when that happens, if it makes sense, then they'll be in a position to refinance. And refinances, we just redo their existing loan, pay off their lender, and start a new loan at presumably a lower rate, or maybe we refi from an adjustable to a fixed, or remove private mortgage insurance, PMI, right? So maybe an FHA to a conventional, things like that. So there's lots of different things to do on a refinance, and that's always an option. And so costs associated with a refinance, it depends on loan amount, right? But usually it's anywhere from $5,000 to $6,000. And that's not including any points that somebody may opt to pay to buy down their interest rate, or any kind of prepaids, right? So setting up an impound account for taxes and insurance. But straight closing costs, that's about what it is.
Yeah. We always like to ask our buyers as well, it's what do you think is going to happen in your life in the next 5 years?
Absolutely.
Right?
How long are you going to stay in the house?
Absolutely. And especially if they're deciding between stretching a little bit to buy the house or continue renting, at least if you're owning that home, you are locked into that, barring property taxes or insurance changing, you're locked in. If prices go down or the interest rates go up, you just stay the same.
Right.
You just continue living in the home. So really you can just focus on it getting better over time.
Absolutely.
So in your opinion, how much do interest rates need to dip for it to make sense to refinance, and how many times can buyers refinance?
So again, it really depends on loan amount, but generally speaking, it's about 0.5%. And it's 0.5% because we're in San Diego County. If you're in a state with lower loan amounts, lower prices, lower loan amounts, then it might take a little bit more like 1%, but 0.5% is going to save you a lot of money in San Diego when you go to refinance. And again, for reasons that we mentioned previously, somebody may not be refinancing to get a lower rate, but they might be changing the terms of their loan. Maybe the rate's gonna stay the same, but when we remove PMI, they'll still save a few $100s a month. So that's something to take into consideration. And then likewise, when it comes to how many times can you refinance, technically there is no legal limit. If you're really kind of doing multiple refinances, the underwriter, of course, is gonna question that. But generally speaking, nope. I mean, when rates drop, I have clients that have refinanced every 6 months.
Yeah.
And again, because they know they're gonna stay in that home long term. So once they recoup the costs that they spent on that refinance, which usually just takes a couple of years, after that they benefit from the lower rate for the remaining life of the loan. And they really save a lot of money over interest over the term of the loan.
And then people can also refinance to take out like a HELOC or something to put into an investment property or improve their home, right?
Absolutely. Yep. You can use your equity to do lots of things, pull cash out and, like you said, buy another property, go on vacation, invest, send your kid to college. I could go on and on.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Lots of options.
Yes.
So a lot of my buyers are coming to me and asking, can we ask the seller for a rate buy down? Of course, a rate buy down is something that the seller can contribute to buy down the rate of the buyer. What's your opinion on that right now in today's market? What are you seeing?
Because it's a seller's market, I would shy away from that. Anytime you have an offer that is asking the seller to pay for something, that makes that offer look less attractive than all the other offers they're getting, right? Especially when it comes to a buy down, right? Buy down is different than just a closing cost credit, right? Because closing costs, you may only ask for $5,000, maybe $10,000, right? Whereas on a buy down, for example, on $1.5 million purchase price with 20% down at a start rate, a note rate of 6.75%, a 2-year buy down is going to cost that seller $27,000, okay? If we went with a 1-year buy down, it would cost them $9,000. So that's maybe a little bit more reasonable, but a 2-year buy down, and they even have 3-year buy downs, so you can only imagine. But you get what I'm saying. It makes that offer certainly look less attractive.
Yeah, definitely. And I think if it was a year ago, it would be a totally different story.
100%, we were doing them then.
Absolutely, and it goes to show how the market changes, right? And at that time, rates were 8%.
Right.
So, you
Right.
know, it all kind of fluctuates. There's so many different levels to what comes together to make a competitive offer.
Right.
But I think just to reiterate what you've been saying, get your financial package done first.
Yes.
So that we know exactly what we have to work with,
For
and
sure.
then we can look at each home.
Yep,
Specifically.
exactly. Yep.
Perfect. As you can see, there's a lot to be aware of in a changing market. We highly recommend that you align yourself with a group of professionals who can guide you through the ups and downs. We want to be your go-to resource for all things San Diego real estate. If you have any interest in buying, selling, or investing in the area, please feel free to give us a phone call, send an email, leave a comment below, and we're excited to hear from you.